Hello, in this video we are going to work on implementing just kind of a generic sensors. So I have some code here that I've written since the last time that ended up not working out because the library was not updated for the 2020 season yet and ended up causing a bunch of issues. So instead of the IMU board, which is essentially a gyroscope, it's a bunch of different sensors all in one that kind of goes right onto the RoboRio. We're going to focus on using the color sensor. The process that we're going to use to actually implement this is very similar to what we would use to just really implement about anything that we'd ever need. So for actually using this sensor, like I said, most of these sensors are going to work in the same way. So the first thing is you want to connect to the internet, and then you want to know what sensor you're actually using. So the sensor that we're using is the Rev Color Sensor V3. So if you go to the website that the sensor is sold on, generally they have information here that we will need. So if you look right here, FRC 2020 Infinite Recharge Resources, so we need the library installed, which is this link right here. And the way we go about installing that is through this little W, and then manage vendor libraries, install new libraries, and we're going to do online since we have the link. Paste that in there and hit enter. Give it a second to do its thing. There we go. It is recommended to run a build after the vendor update. Yes, we do want to do that. So it's going to go ahead and put that in. In the meantime, we should be able to start editing some code. So in order to import the color sensor, the import statement. Oh, another thing that we did was imported the smart dashboard. It's just a single line. But so com.rev robotics and dot color sensor v3. So honestly, what I tend to do for using something like this is, you can just come back here. We got the library documentation, so what this will do is this will go through and talk to you about each of the separate classes that it has, and we'll go into detail about how each of those work. So you can click on those and it will have a bunch of stuff, and you can read through that if you're interested or need a little bit more information on what you're trying to do. So we're going to look at this example code. We're coding in Java. And we're gonna look at this color match one. So this is just like our code. So we go to the source / main, and then the robot one, and then robot.java. So now this is essentially going to be an example project of what we want to be looking at here. And so we can essentially copy and paste the majority of this. So these are the 3 imports that it's using. So go ahead and move that over. We already have one in here, but I'm just going to delete it and overwrite it. And then go back to the website and look. So we're going to need to use this I2C port, which is also up here, as well as this color deal. So we're going to need these imports as well. So we'll go ahead and put these in here. So we need to use this I2C port, and we need to use the color sensor, and we want to make this color matcher object as well as these colors. So we can take this entire portion here and just go ahead and use that. Otherwise, essentially, we're going to end up with the same thing with different names and write a whole bunch more code by ourselves when it's already written, so we might as well use it. Okay, so this is the I2C port, which is the port on the RoboRio that it's actually plugged into. This is declaring the actual color sensor. And that's with the I2C port that we made up here as the input parameter. And then this is a color matcher, which is just it matches colors for us. And then this is going to be 4 different colors, and then they're red, green, and blue values, depending on what the colors are. And that's kind of how we're going to calibrate this color matcher that we're going to try to incorporate. So now that we have that part, we are going to look back at the website and just see that it's going to add these 4 different colors right there the first time that we run the program in the robot initialize category. So we're going to want to move those over as well. And then the periodic. So what this is going to do, it tells you a little bit about it right here, but it's going to detect the color, and then it's going to check that it actually matches, and then depending on which color it matches, that's what it's going to send to the driver station down here. So the detected color and then the color string is what it's going to use. So again, we can use all of this stuff in here, throw that in our robot periodic. So, with all of this stuff, so this is just saying we have a color that we named detected color, and it's using this color sensor that we made earlier, and then we're using this get color function, and then that returns the 3 values of red, green, and blue for each color. So, and then we got this string right here, which we're actually going to move somewhere else because it's going to be useful later. If we decide to use this in our teleop. So that way we can just use this stuff without having to redo it all. So then it's going to say if this matcher thing, and specifically looking at colors, if they match for each of the separate, or if they match for none of them, then it's going to hit unknown. And then what this is going to do is it's going to take each of these numbers and it's going to put the numbers on the smart dashboard, which is, if I open up the driver station again and make sure I'm connected to the robot, it should open up a smart dashboard for us. So this is our smart dashboard. Whoops. So then if we deploy our code, as soon as that code deploys, we should see our values pop up right here. And we might need to move them around. So if you see, this is giving us different values depending on what it's looking at. So then if I actually grab the sensor and the color wheel, depending on which color I point this sensor at, it will read a value on the type of color and how confident it is that color, and it'll give us the final color as well as all the other separate values. And I don't think it's ever been wrong so far. But as you can see, we have the red, green, and blue values for each of these colors, and those are actually the same, or that's what, when we're up here using these, that's what these values are, is your red, green, and blue. So it takes each of these and compares how close it is to the given inputs, and then decides which color it is by which of these 3 that those numbers are closest to. So it's pretty simple and pretty easy when they write it out for you, and most of the times they write everything out for you, and you just have to find it and then know how to apply it. So we will go more into actually applying this information at a different time, but for now that's how you use a color sensor.